Hello, today I'm going to give a quick demonstration of creating a spectrum, creating subspectra for that spectrum, entering data into those subspectra, and then adding those subspectra to the spectrum sequence data. So the first thing you want to do is open up Spectrum Manager like I have here and click this blue drop down in the top left corner to then select a new project to open. You can go ahead and name the spectrum whatever you like. I am going to call this one Test Spectrum. You then want to pick a name for your subspectrum labels. I'll call the labels for this spectrum Flight for this demonstration, but you can call them whatever you like. And then you can optionally add a description to the spectrum. I'll just describe this as demonstration of adding a subspectrum to spectrum. Now you can also set these options depending on the type of spectrum you want to create, but I'm just going to leave these blank for the demonstration. So then you can go ahead and click create and the view will change to show your newly opened project. From here, you will need to create your first subspectrum by clicking either the green plus symbol next to the subspectra library or by clicking the new subspectrum button in the top left corner of the screen. A small window will open asking you to name the subspectrum, but notice that the subspectrum label you entered when creating the project is going to show up with an auto-generated name by default. I chose Flight, so it showed up as Flight 1. You can change this name if you want, but I'm going to leave it as it is, and you can also add a description. Go ahead and click Save, and you'll notice that the subspectrum now appears in the subspectra library. Now that you have a subspectrum to work with, we will go ahead and add a few lines of data. So add a new level of data either by right-clicking in the Spectrum Data section and click Add Level, or you can just go right up here and click the Add button. So this generates a new empty level which you can then fill out. And note that the fields that you must fill out are going to vary depending on the option that you selected when creating the project, but the process of adding the levels will be the same nonetheless. Let's go ahead and add some data to this level and add a few more levels to the subspectrum. I'm going to start with a maximum of 0.9 and a minimum of 0.5 and 100 cycles. So as you can see, the data entered on this level appears in the graph down below at the bottom of the screen. And then copying this row and pasting it into an added level extends that graph. Go ahead and change this maximum and minimum value. So I'll make this 0.8 and the minimum 0.4 with the same 100 cycles. Select this row, copy it, add a new row, paste it just to get one more row. So I'll make this one 0.7 and 0.3. So now that you've seen how to add a new subspectrum manually, I'm going to show you how you can insert subspectrum data from an external Excel sheet. So we're going to start off by creating a new subspectrum. As you can see, the name auto-generates once again. So we'll go ahead and save that. And now I'm going to go over to an Excel document that I already have open. And as you can see, it has corresponding maximum, minimum, and cycle values, just like back over here in Spectrum Manager. So basically, to copy this data, we're just going to select it as you normally would in Excel, hit copy or Control-C, and then as we navigate back to Spectrum Manager, we want to make sure we have our new subspectrum selected. And instead of adding levels like we did when creating it manually, we're instead going to hit Insert because we're getting this from Excel. And as you can see, it's that easy. As soon as you hit Insert, all the data that was over in our Excel document has been copied over to this subspectrum. Now, another option besides Excel for adding existing subspectrum data is to import it from an existing Subspectra file. And to do that, you simply want to go to the blue drop-down icon, click import.sub. You want to navigate to whichever folder has your Spectra data. I already have it defaulted here. And then you're basically just going to click on the one that you want to analyze or import into the current Spectrum data and click Open. So as you can see, it auto-generates that same flight label for it. It doesn't have a number, but that'll get generated automatically because there is a set number of spectra already in there, and so it updates with all of those values. So I'll go ahead and click OK. And as you can see, the last one we did from the Excel document was flight 2. Flights 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are all from that external subfile. So now that you have seen a few ways to get subspectrum data into your Spectrum Manager project, you are going to want to save your spectrum. To do this, you first have to add at least one subspectrum to the spectrum sequence data. Basically, to do that, you're just going to come over here to Sequence over in the project window, click on that, and you're going to use this Add button or right-click in the window to add subspectrum to this sequence. So once you do that, you're simply going to type the first letter of the subspectrum that you want to add. You can see the subspectra you have available over here in the spectral library. I'm going to start with flight 1. And as you can see, by just typing F, it auto-completes to all the different subspectra you have available. I'll go ahead and add flight 1. And as you can see, that data is updated down here in the test spectrum area of the screen. I want to save more than just flight 1, however. I'll go ahead and add flight 2 and flight 3. Now, one more feature I want to show off before I save this spectrum is the fact that even after you've already added a subspectrum to the sequence data, you can actually add duplicate subspectrum values. So if you wanted to do a certain type of analysis where you need to look at flight 1, 2, and 3, and then look at flight 1 again, you can go ahead and add it to the sequence data just like this. And as you can see, it updates with that same exact data, but it comes along here at a different cycle count. And finally, all there is left to do is to save this spectrum. So you're going to return to the blue drop down up here, click Save As, and then I already had this name, but I'm just going to, for example, show you again. You just type in the name of the file that you want to save, called Test Spectrum to save, just like I had before, and click Save. So just to recap, I've shown you how to add subspectra to a spectrum manually by inserting from an Excel document and by importing from a .sub file. I've also shown you how to add these subspectra to the spectrum sequence data in order to be able to save your spectrum. So I hope that this video has been useful and assist you in your usage of Spectrum Manager. Take care.